You're now live. Have a great meeting.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you to our African American Heritage Commission meeting for March the 11th. Happy Thursday. Want to remind you all to mute your phones. We are live on YouTube. Non-members will be speaking if you need to during our public comment section. And before we get started, it doesn't look like we have quorum, so we won't be able to vote on decisions until we have quorum, and I'll let you know when and if that changes. But we'll move through our agenda as much as we can today, considering that we don't have quorum right now. So the first thing I want to do is take a quick roll just so I can officially see who's on the call. So commission members, when I call your name, this is for voting commission members. Please unmute and let me know that you're here, and then you can remute. So doesn't look like Dwayne Barton is on the call yet. Mr. Marvin Chambers, Michael Hayes, Catherine Mitchell, Aaron Griffin, Brandon Oliver.
Here.
Beverly Miller.
Here.
And I did get a call from Miss Georgia Shannon. She won't be able to be here today, but it is an excused absence. So she did make contact with me. So first thing I want to do is welcome our newest commission member, Miss Beverly Miller. Beverly, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you want to say a few words, you're welcome to at this time.
Thank you, and I appreciate everyone for having me here. I am retired paramedic, operations supervisor from Buncombe County, and I really look forward to being a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I also want to welcome Councilmember Sandra Kilgore. Sandra, if you want to speak, you are welcome to at this time.
Yes, I'd just like to say I'm very happy to be here and to meet and work with you all. And I'm looking forward to all of us working together to make an impact here in Asheville that no one will ever forget. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to also introduce our Assistant City Manager for the City of Asheville, Mr. Richard White. You can come on and say a few words if you want to, putting you on the spot. You're muted, Richard.
Thank you, Chairwoman Smith. Good morning, everyone. Just want to say welcome to you all, and I look forward to working with you through the Office of Equity and Inclusion. Appreciate your service and look forward to the work you have in front of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So we'll just start to move through the agenda. The first thing on our agenda is our work plan. And I just want to remind everyone what our mission is for this commission. And the mission for the African American Heritage Commission is to advise Asheville City Council and Buncombe County Board of Commissioners on issues concerning the enhancement of the economic, social, cultural, and recreational lives of African Americans in Asheville and throughout Buncombe County. So as we move through this work, let's try to keep our mission in the forefront of our minds so that we won't get distracted. So I think all commission members have had an opportunity. We've been working through our work plan. And the last thing I understood from our meeting in November was that we were going to just make sure there were not any additional changes or updates. So commission members, if you have any additions or anything you'd like to see added to the work plan, you can unmute yourselves and talk about it at this time. I'll open up the floor. So and we'll circle back if we get more members on the call, but thus far, it looks like we're going to start building and working from our work plan and implementing that in more meetings to come. But that has been a work in progress, and we've made a couple of edits. And I think our last meeting we wanted to open up the floor to give one more opportunity to make sure that everyone was happy with the language in the work plan, our goals that we've outlined. And I'll just go over them really quickly since we have a little time. Our first goal is to establish the commission as a community forum where information impacts expression, issues impact policy, and program impact funding. contribute to the investment in artifacts around at the Vance Monument about impactful African Americans and important African American neighborhoods. And finally, prioritize and advocate for funding in African American communities to support an environment where African Americans feel about Asheville-Buncombe County like tourists feel about Asheville-Buncombe County. So those are the goals that we outlined for the commission, as well as our mission statement. So we'll just move forward on our agenda. So one of the things we talked about in our last meeting was to revisit the renaming and streets in our city. So I think at our last meeting, we talked about wanting to move forward and having set aside street names as they move forward to name new street names versus revisiting and renaming old street names. So Brandon and Beverly, I want to open up the floor, and Councilwoman and Richard, please feel free to join in the conversation should you choose to, about street renaming. We as a group talked about just how impactful would it be if we reached back to change names rather than moving forward? And as the city created new streets, we'd rather have a reservoir of names to use for those new streets going forward. Any thoughts or comments on that?
Only thing
Go
ahead.
No, I was going to say, you all could go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say is I think Lynn had sent that in a report. We talked about that. I think, we talked about that. And I actually thought that was a great plan. And especially with the growth that we're experiencing now and with all the streets and all the different highways and different things that's coming in, we have a great opportunity to make an impact. So I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. Brandon, you want to add to that?
No, like I said, when it was brought up, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, my personal feelings as a business owner, I think about what that would do to a small business having to go through the changing of their street address when they already have things printed up. They have an online presence, they have customers, and I think that would cause a lot of difficulty for a small business owner. And my words in our last meeting is, excuse me, that's just not a hill that I want to die on. That's not a fight that I want to proceed. I'm more about what's going to unify our community, and I don't know that will. But I do think if we look to the future and we come up with a list of names and we do our community engagement and our community outreach so that we can have a large pool of names to use and that we can give to the city and county for that matter, and recommend these are people we'd like to see streets named after going forward. I think that'd be more celebratory and inclusive as we move forward and from our shameful past, quite frankly. And we can revisit that if we need to take an official vote on that. We certainly can do that. I just don't know that that's where I know we talked about it in our last meeting, but I wanted to bring that back around because Ben from the city's office had reached out to me on this subject, and I just wanted to have more of an official statement that I could give to Ben. I just referred him to our last meeting, but I'd rather have something that we could just say formally, this is our stance on the street renaming. So we'll move forward. Any more questions on that? Any more comments? Okay. So in our new business, we were talking, next is our terms. So my term is ending, Catherine's term, and so is Marvin Chambers' term. So this is a time I wish to be considered for an additional term on the commission, and I'll make my wishes known to the correct, from Buncombe County. So I've told our commissioners that I want to be reconsidered for an additional term on the commission, but I did want to get Catherine and Marvin Chambers' wishes. So I will reach out to them if they aren't able to make this meeting to see what their plans are for the commission and if they wish to continue on this commission for another 2-year term. And next on our agenda, I have Catherine to present on the Board of Education, but I don't see that she is on the call to be able to present that. So we will table that until she arrives, or if not, we can put that on for our next meeting agenda. And I wanted to open up the floor for the commission to give their thoughts on the Vance Monument. As you all may or may not know, the Vance Monument Committee voted, I think it was with one and opposed to removing the monument. All others voted to have the monument removed. And right now it's in the hands of the city to proceed. But I wanted to just get the commission's thoughts on it because we've not really had a lot of discussion on the monument. So Brandon and Beverly, feel free to chime in. And if you have questions for Sandra and Richard, they're here and available at this time to answer any questions you may have.
I'll point out that Mr. Oliphant was also on the task force as well.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Richard. And Mr. Oliphant, thank you for your service on the task force. So he's here as a subject matter expert if you have any questions. So I guess, Sandra, I'll open up the floor to you just to talk about the monument. You're muted.
Oh, thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
No, well, of course, like I said, I'm quite sure most of you have sort of heard about my stance on how I feel about the monument. In fact, what I will do is after the meeting, I will more or less sort of send out just sort of basically just a journal-like thing I wrote about the monument and how I feel about it and why I have taken such a stance. And basically, if you've seen the one that was in Mountain Express, that was sort of like a sanitized version of basically what I will be sending out. And I just want to share it to you. And the thing is with me is I know we all have different points of views and how we view things. And that's good. That's good because that's the way that's the only way we're going to grow. That's the only way we're going to learn. And I guess for me, for taking that stance, basically, I feel that what has happened, I really believe that we are, and we're in a reckoning period. I think we're in a rebirthing period, a renaissance period. I think Black people are finally given an opportunity to actually move a lot of things forward that we have not been before. And I think that because of this reason, I think that there are so many ways for us to get more benefits to us. And so with me, I always look at, because you got to understand, with Black people, we have always had to make lemonade out of lemons. I mean, we've just been given all kinds of situations in life. Even with the cotton gin, even they were picking cotton, of course we'll come up with a way to do it better. And that's what we've done all through history. We're very, inventive. And basically that's what we've had to do. So we've adapted to all types of situations. So when people throw things at me that are curveballs, I don't look at the negatives. I don't really look at what it actually is. I look at how it can benefit me. And when I first took this stance on this whole situation, I looked at this as a way, basically, is to be able to control, because pretty much downtown Asheville, Blacks have been sort of just nothing there. There's nothing there that we have left. Of course, we have the little Eagle Market Street thing that they're trying to actually get Black businesses in. But other than that, we have nothing. So I look at this as an opportunity to be able to control a piece of downtown land, okay? Which the price of it, if it actually went on the market, would probably be $1 million, $2 million plus. So, and I'm saying this is a platform that we can finally use to basically sort of amplify our voice and our fight and our struggle. Because what I found out when I was traveling with the airline, I found out a lot of times whenever I discuss people in different countries and places and on the flights or whatever, and I always wanted to find out what did they really think of Black people, or what did they, because it always sort of amazed me. And what I found out is basically a lot of time it was because they did not have enough information. They didn't really know us. There were concepts, the different concepts or things that they felt that we were or whatever. But after we talked, I found out they were like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And once people know who you really are, then guess what? They have a certain respect and understanding. And I feel that that's what's been missing with the Black community. We don't have a strong foundation and ourselves. And so if we don't have a strong foundation ourselves, then guess what? How can we expect other people to really see us for who we are? Because we are a strong, resilient race that basically has been suppressed and whatever. And guess what? And the more people know, the more respect we get, and the more the more value we can get out of anything. So, like I said, I look at that as an opportunity for that, especially when we found out that with the underneath the time capsule, and it included that Black newspaper. And I guess that may not mean a lot to a lot of people, but it meant a lot to me. And I guess the reason it did, because I was trying to figure out, we don't know how that happened. We don't know if it was some type of inclusion that basically that they were trying to do, or we don't know if it was the caretaker who basically was responsible for putting that time capsule in there. Did he actually go and say, let me slip this in here because I want my Black people to know that we were present and we were here? So we don't really know the history, but we do know it was there and our people were there. And our people were evidently doing pretty well to be able to have newspapers, that they were actually working together as a community. So that to me just meant a lot to me, regardless of how it happened. So and like I said, by being an art major, travel all over the world, I've seen these monuments all over everywhere, cities, states, everywhere. And the thing is about those things is this: you've already got a platform pretty much here that you can use to draw attention and tell the story of Blacks throughout. And the way I look at history too is, I think that until we're actually be able to be completely free as Black people to learn our history and know our history, we will have to have one history. Black history is good to have, because that's the way we're using it to sort of educate our children and educate. But we will not really receive the amount of respect that we really need until our history is merged within history itself, white history. Let me call it white history, because guess what? There's only one history. So therefore, I think that's a good way to sort of merge the histories where we become one. And that way, like I said, we're looking at more of an inclusive, the equality that we all thrive for. I just think that it's just an opportunity to educate not only our children to have a place to go and to learn history. And when I talk about repurposing, it'll start, I tell people, it's like a living document. I don't know how it's going to work. It's going to be the whole community. But the first thing to be is to just tell the whole story. Tell about the struggles. Tell about, basically, you can talk about Vance or whatever, and how he basically used people and our labor to actually build all these different things. So we're actually the ones that put in the labor. So I'm just saying it's a way to tell the history and how we actually were thriving, doing well, and all of a sudden urban renewal comes through, and we can talk about the Reconstruction. We can talk about all that stuff. So when we take our children downtown, they could walk around and read the history, which would stimulate them to go further and say, wait a minute, let me see what else happened, So, and all I'm saying is, and not only that, so when people visit this city, over 11 million people visit whatever, they come and they said, oh my gosh, I didn't realize Black people were doing all these things. And see, and I just think it's just a good way that we can actually get our voice heard and get the respect that we have been so deprived of, because we are strong, resilient people. And sometimes I think that sometimes things that we do, and I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm going to be straightforward. I think sometimes when I hear people say, oh, the monument, it hurts us. No, that bothers me tremendously. We are not a weak people. Our people have died and been hung and all this stuff, and then it hurts us to see that they were in pain. What have we become? Is that what we want to send to our young children, that they're weak, that, they can't stand the idea of hearing the history or knowing the history? Because guess what? They're going to need to be strong, and they're going to need to face all these issues. So we have failed our children in a way by not making sure that they're educated on who they are and who their ancestors were. Because like I said, that is been, and I think that what happened with us, because my mom and dad, they taught me these things. And most of the elders, their parents taught them these things. But what happened, because of all the things that we've been going through and being able to, with the integration and having us out here working and trying to give our children everything. We were giving our children everything, but we did not give them the strength and that they needed or the knowledge that they needed to stand strong and fight like our parents gave us. And I think we are failing those kids. And when I spoke with some of the kids at UNCA, and I looked at the young kids, and they were telling me, "Oh, I'm so tired of this struggle," and they're fighting, and they feel like they're beating their heads up against the wall. And I listened to them, and I was like, and I felt sorry for them, because I know I was like that when I was in college at UNCA. I was fighting and feel like they need the direction from us, the elders who've already been through certain things. They need our guidance. Only way we'll ever be able to get the change that we need is a multi-generational approach. The young people are yelling out to us saying, "Hey, listen, we're out here. We're voicing these opinions. We're doing this and that." But what they do not have is they don't have direction. And that's where we come in. And I just think it's a great way to start bringing all these things to the forefront. I'm sorry, took up too much time, but that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Brandon, Beverly, you want to share your thoughts?
So, Sandra, as I was listening to you, I was going back and forth in my mind, because I've been debating about this, because I look at the monument and I say, okay, this is a symbolism of hatred. I look deeper into it. I say, on a personal level, if my granddad had been murdered by someone, and no matter what that person was doing in the business world and building up the economy in the city, would I want that person to be memorialized? Would I not pass that down to my children? But if we look at it and say, well, it wasn't our grandfather, so we can kind of turn an eye to it. I've never looked at it from the art perspective, as you said, like just looking at it as art. It's a massive, massive structure. And as we were talking, I said, well, you know what? If we want to show a true history and where we are, why not knock it over? Everyone wants to be a part of it. All the groups that say, hey, we helped build Asheville. Knock it over on its side. Show that it's been toppled. Teach our kids that, because it's going to be a fight. Okay? It's going to be a fight. We still, no matter how we feel, live in a white supremacist run government and everything. So everybody's going to fight. I mean, we're going to get tired. Our ancestors got tired. We're all going to have to fight. So to me, the monument, I mean, it's recognizing a time frame in our life. It's celebrating someone who was a victor in the battle. That's the way I look at it. It's a war, and that's someone who was victorious at the time. This area celebrated it. I'm not really for just leaving it up and celebrating them, but I mean, to me, there's different things and avenues and ways to go about it to help. I don't think taking it down is going to change the condition of Black people in this area. I really don't. I don't think that by removing that, it's going to change our condition at all. I'm with you on the educating, but in order to make any advancement, man, we have to tear this structure down. It is what it is. That's 400 years head start. Man, we have a fight on our hands for real, and it's bigger than monuments. It's bigger than street naming. It's systemic. We talk about it, but we don't really face the reality of what it is. I mean, it affects us in every aspect of our lives. So we have to take that head on, and we have to fight. So if part of that fight requires leaving the monument up, okay, so be it. I mean, we still educate our children on who this person was, what he did, and then we look and say, hey, we've overcome that, I think. But that's all I have to say on it.
Thank you, Brandon. Beverly, do you have any thoughts to share? I'm putting you on the spot, so to speak.
No problem. No problem. I do agree with Councilwoman Kilgore. And yes, it is going to be a fight. And this is part of our history. And I do believe that it does need to stay up.
I will share my thoughts. I hope that the council will honor the decision and the recommendation from the task force. The task force put a lot of time. I served on the staff side of the task force. The task force put a lot of time, energy, resource, and discussion. They were very mindful of the community's voice. The community was very clear in what they recommended. Even the Vance family was very clear in what they recommended in wanting the monument to be removed. I think it's a waste and a slap in the face to assign a task force a job and then not respect their decision and their recommendation. They were very clear in how they voted. It was almost unanimous. There was one person, I think there were 11 members on it, or 12, I'm not certain now. But out of all those, one person voted to have the monument remain. Everyone else voted for the monument to be removed. And if council is now backpedaling, that is a part of the whole systemic problem. You know, you assigned a task force, you put a call out to the community on the county side and the city side saying, join this task force, let us know what you think. We will take your recommendation into consideration. Granted, you didn't say that they would decide the factor, but it just feels very reminiscent of a lot of things that happen in city and county government. Give us your input, let us know what you think. Oh, we don't really care what you think. We're going to do whatever. And I have a lot of thoughts about what I heard council member say today, but the gist is I hope that the council as a whole will respect the recommendation that the task force was assigned to do, that the community put their thoughts into. And if you look at the calls and the emails, most people were in favor of having the monument removed, not just African-American people. As I said, the family of Vance was one of the first callers on a call one night requesting that the monument be torn down because of the pain it's caused. And if we are in the habit of not acknowledging our own pain, then we will forever be in the habit of not acknowledging our pain. And I just don't think that's the way to go. Are there any other thoughts from commission members around the monument? And I just want to remind you that the ones who are on the call who are not a part of the commission, feel free to comment on whatever we've discussed today in our public comment section. We will have a time for you all to speak. Councilman Sandra, okay. I interrupted you.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. And I'm really happy that we're having this conversation. You know, it's been wonderful. And what I wanted to address basically was like one of the things that you said that, and I hear people say that a lot, that we commission this council to do certain things and we should, but see a task force. But I look at task force as basically that's what they are, a task force to come up with information, more information, to give us information. But I don't look at them as being superseding the elected officials or the overall, people as far as making decisions. Because if that were the case, that means that task forces would be in control in making decisions. They're there to bring back information to council. So I don't look at their work as something that we have to take in consideration and have to agree with it. That's the way I look at task force. But as far as, and the thing is with me is I don't have any objections with the task force. I think the task force did exactly what they were commissioned to do. I think that if you look at the order of the first task, when they called for the task force, they were looking for people to be on the committee that were affected. I feel like they were hurt by it. So I felt that was subjective in nature and more or less directed the narrative, because if you're looking for people that's been affected, then of course the outcome would be what the people that's affected would feel. So, and like I said, my concern I felt that on Lynn and Brandon, I felt that more information, I think the way it was presented, and with presentation, you can pretty much present anything and people will agree with it. So I think presentation is important. I think that what I was concerned with is when I got out here in the community, and you got to understand, most of the people I talk to are sort of in my age group. You got that type of thing going on. And I found that most of the people were saying, oh, no, I'm not opposed to that. You know what I mean? No one asked me. And I found out a lot of people in Asheville, this is what I found when I got back to Asheville that sort of disturbed me, because by being in real estate, when I was in Florida, most of my clients were very active with emails and social media. When I got to Asheville in 2012, I wasn't able to sort of reach the populace. And the reason I wasn't able to reach the populace, because they weren't on social media, or they didn't have emails. A lot of my clients, I say, you got email? Not no one, very few have emails. So basically, I'm having to do things manually. And what I was concerned about was the voice of the people in Asheville is being heard by the ones that's on social media, or the one that's actively out there. And then once I start reaching out to people that I said not on social media, talking to these people, they were all like, no, the monument does not affect. So I'm sitting up here saying, where did they get their consensus? And all I was asking is it's not a matter of, I could care less really about the monument being removed or whatever. But my concern is that we start finding a way to communicate with all the people, especially the Black community, people in the community, because there's that silent part of the Black community that's never being heard. It's only those ones in social media and the loud ones that's being heard. So do we allow them, this small sector, to pretty much control what Asheville Blacks or whatever Asheville people feel? And so I said, all I was asking for was to table it for a minute. Maybe we could sort of get out here and sort of find out really what the people really want. It may be something you actually want to do, put on a ballot, and maybe you can have a breakdown on how many what's the Black person. But I'm just saying, I felt that something for that magnitude that could possibly affect basically the equity and inclusion programs that we're trying to get off. Because see, what I found out, a lot of people that affect different things, they don't talk about it. The people that have sort of control of different things, of whether our programs get through or whether guess what? You're not going to hear about it, because there is a silent majority that controls everything. So I'm saying, and I just feel that we really need to, before taking those steps, because we can always, guess what? We can always knock it down. We can knock it down next year. We can knock it down 6 months from now. It can always be knocked down, but it can never be brought back. And I'm saying, guess what? Let's explore every opportunity or everything that's open to us. Just see it. Does it make sense? Because like I said, you can never go back. And that's all I'm saying. We just need to sort of look at benefits or whatever. And people, it's not about Vance. That's what I'm saying. It's not about Vance. It's just telling the story of history with our history being a part of it. It's not about Vance. Like I said, I couldn't not care less about this man or whatever. And then you sort of ask yourself, where does this go? Samuel Ash, basically, he had slaves. And I don't really know a whole lot about him, but do we look at his past and say, that's who Asheville was named after? Do we start changing the city name from Ash, because it was named after Samuel Ash? And he had slaves, and we keep going down these rabbit holes. And I keep saying, let's find a way to affect change with things that we can do. And like I said, and I'm not concerned, people say, oh, they can knock it down for $100,000. Sure, they probably could. But you ask yourself, how much is it going to cost to redo that park? And where's the money going to come from? The pit of despair already is sort of guesstimated at $13 million right there on that part of town. Okay, and they've got like a urban plan, a little plan for it. Okay, now you're looking at $13 million. Now you're looking at downtown monument, which basically, like I said, all this money, all this stuff going on right now, we have to sort of look at what's important at this time. You think about redoing that park area once you tear it down or whatever. They're going to put some money into it. Asheville's not going to let anything sit there that looks bad. So say if you say $7 million. So you got 14 million plus 7 million to redo this little park area that you want to tear down right now. Now we're talking about money that we're trying to get for reparations. Okay, reparations that can help the community, to help. Now, where's this money going to come from? You're looking at all this money. And I'm just saying, we just sort of need to prioritize what is important, what can make the biggest impact, what can change Black people's lives, what can help us, and not deal with things that we can deal with later, which is not affecting anything. That's all I'm saying. Just give it time. More or less, we can do, like I said, do some more research. But like I said, whatever the community decide, that's fine with me. I just wanted to open up eyes, give options, and sort of start having us stop looking at what's in front of us and start looking all around us, because that's what it is. Somebody put something in front of us and then we go that way. We've got to stop doing that. We've got to actually start looking deeper into repercussions and a way to make things benefit us. Because, and like the little girls I was telling you about, the little kids at UNCA, and they were beating their heads against the wall. And I'm looking around saying, wait a minute, if they just look around, they'll find an open door where they can walk through that door and do things they need to do and get the resources they need to do. But instead, they're looking straight ahead. So I'm saying I just want people to start opening their eyes and looking at that we cannot keep being led subconsciously or subliminally by things that really does not benefit us. Because a lot of times I've seen us just been used in movements. People, they're doing movements for one thing, and then they attach themselves to Black people. And then all of a sudden it's, they use us because guess what? We get leverage. We've got to start using other people and other things to benefit our movement. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Brandon, you had your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I agree with you on the task force thing. I meant to say that earlier, like, if you're going to give someone a job, then respect what the findings are. And it also goes along with the people obviously want that. I will say that I agree with the task force. Didn't listen in, Councilwoman Kilgore. I do agree that the entire community is not being touched. And the voice that is being heard is certain ones that are on social media and email. I have gentlemen in my group that aren't email connected like that, but they have a strong voice and opinion about things. So I completely agree with you on that. It's difficult. We have to. I really like what you said about, man, they use us. They use our energy, our momentum, our fire, because I was thinking today, where's all the Black Lives Matter signs? Where's all the blackout things? Where's all the fists that were up? We're a fad. We're a fad, and we get used like that, and we have to stop. So I like you have to look around at avenues. I appreciate you saying that. So thank you.
So next on our agenda, right now, I want to talk about city liaison and county liaison. So county liaison, our communications team, they are in the process of hiring a communications specialist who I believe will serve as our county liaison. So right now I'm doing dual roles in a sense until they're able to fill that position. And Richard is interim equity and inclusion director, in addition to being assistant city manager. So he's serving as our liaison right now on the city's behalf. And he and I met a couple of days ago, and I'm working on a solution, hopefully, just to kind of keep in the back of your mind. But we're talking about the need to move our commission meetings to quarterly for now, because the city has to broadcast every commission meeting, every committee meeting via YouTube Live. So I've been talking to Ashley, and we're having some conversations on the side to see if we can create a workaround so that our commission can continue to meet on a monthly basis without putting a burden on the city. So I'm asking questions about what's permissible. So best case scenario, we'll be able to meet monthly via Zoom, but worst case, we'll be on a quarterly basis. But if there's something that comes up in the interim, you can get with me and we can have a meeting sooner if we need to. So just keep that in mind. But I'll still be connected to the commission and sending out communications as things come up in the community, as we're working on things, so that we can stay connected and stay informed about what's happening in our community. And any questions from the commission about our liaisons or about what I just discussed? Okay. And I'm looking over my notes. Somebody came off mute. Brandon?
Yeah, I did. I just want to say hello, Richard. I've seen you in emails, but I never really introduced myself. I'm Brandon Oliver. Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you, Brandon. Nice to meet you and the other members of the commission as well. Thank you.
And Lynn, I think if we can push to be monthly, I think that will be best. I mean, I think we need to, our window of opportunity is closing, and but we're going to have to show some calls for it. We're going to have to get some things done. So I support being monthly, whatever we have to do. I don't want to get pushed to a quarterly just because we're not as important as maybe a different board. No, we are just as important. So if they're going to be monthly, then we're going to be monthly too. That's the way I feel about it.
I respect and understand that your position. That was the reason that I was really hoping we could do a workaround, for lack of a better word. So what I was proposing is, and this is all undecided, but I'm hoping that if we can provide a Zoom link to the right people, that they can push that out so that the public has a means to attend our meetings. And it'll just be up to us to monitor, as be sure to let people in the room and that kind of thing, which I think is doable. But we don't want to cut the community off. But I certainly hear you and agree that we don't want to, because it's so easy to start to lose touch if we move to quarterly. It's been difficult enough with the pandemic and trying to stay connected and us having meetings sporadically. So I agree wholeheartedly and support us staying on monthly. So I'll do what I can to see that we can do that. And I'll just be in touch with you all to let you know where we are with that. But it's not impossible, but there are just some things that they'll have to kind of develop to make sure it happens and that it's noticed in time so that the community knows when we're meeting and how to join the meeting, because that's important. We don't want to have meetings that the community doesn't have access to. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And our final agenda item is our vision for the commission. We've kind of been talking about this already. I have talked to every commission member either via email or on our last meeting, but I've gotten verbal commitments from everyone on our commission. So I just want to say thank you for your commitment to the commission, and hopefully moving forward, we can get back on a regular schedule and continue to build momentum so that we can really dig down into the work that we've created and mapped out in our work plan, get back to that basics, remember what we started our commission for, and really see how we can work with the city and county so that we can make this vision for our commission broader and really more successful for years to come. So at this time, I'm going to open up the floor for public comments. If you have a public comment, feel free to raise your hand and let me know, or unmute, and the floor is open at this time for public comments. Mr. McAfee, if you'll unmute and we'll be able to hear you.
How is that?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Glad to be able to participate and listen in. There were a variety of opinions, so it's not practical for me now to try to dissect. I would like to say this. I've tried to get on this board before, and I'm going to request again that I have access to this board. My voice needs to be on this board. It is a necessary voice, and I don't understand why I am not being able to penetrate and be on this board. I don't want my voice silenced doing these things. I want my voice heard.
Mr. McAfee, thank you for your comment. You and I have talked before, so I will let you know that there is a process to be on the board. When there is a vacancy available, the city and county, depending on what side it's on, will publish that there's a vacancy. You can complete an application for consideration. At this time, we don't have any vacancies. And we had one that Ms. Beverly filled, and I don't recall seeing your application come through for consideration. If it was, and there was, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Miss.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that the position was available. I came to several of the meetings before COVID-19.
Right.
I spoke at the meetings. I spoke with you.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a process that I need to be up to the minute on so that a position becomes available, it's filled, and then I'm told about it after the fact, I find that disingenuous. So if a position...
Dwayne's name was on there. His application was there.
Okay.
We did not receive the application. Was who appointed Beverly? Was it city or county?
There was a commission. The board.
So We did not see his application on the county side.
No, yeah, you didn't see it on the county side, and we didn't see it in council because they have a boards of commission, basically that they've appointed in council that basically decides that. So yeah, his application was there.
So his application, why did we not see it? Do you know why it didn't come all the way through?
I don't know because, like I said, they have a boards. The council has a separate boards of commission of 3 members, and it went to them.
Okay. So, Mr. McAfee, what I can do is I can reach out to that commission and find out more information about your application. I did not see it because it didn't come through on the county side, and this was a county slot that was filled, not a city slot.
And I will say this to Mr. McAfee. I actually had put in for it a few times myself, and I never got chosen.
Well, if politics are involved, if I need to talk to someone in order to get on the board, then I need to have the information to do that. But right now, I feel like I'm an ostrich with my head in the sand. I've made the time and the effort to get involved, which is exactly what you guys all say we need to do. Yet every time I seem to get involved, when it comes to this board, I seem to hit a brick wall. And I don't find that to be a coincidence.
I don't know how to speak to that. I have not seen your application for consideration, and I'm not on the city side. I'm appointed by the county. But what typically happens is the clerk and on both sides will send us applications for review and recommendation. I have not seen your application, nor have any of our commission members. So I don't know how to advise you going forward. But what I can do is I can reach out to the commission that the city has just to see if there was something missing on your application. I don't know anything, unfortunately, to offer to you, and nor would I in this public forum. But feel free to email me.
Oh, it would be fine with me.
Okay.
Could I just say one thing very quickly? Anything that I do where I'm volunteering my time and effort, I am only doing that for the betterment of my children. That's my passion. That's what I care about. So because I have passion, I could possibly rub some people the wrong way. I don't have a problem with that. I will not be rude. I will not be indignant, but I will speak my mind, and I will speak it to anyone that stands before me on any subject that I care about.
I respect that. We've had conversations in the past.
I just want to make sure everybody understands. I'm not looking for friendship. I'm looking to get something done.
That's fine.
Not
but
friendship.
There is a process, and there is a way to communicate your feelings. So I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Are there anything else on public comments? I don't want to overlook.
Bernard, I have one or two thoughts.
Mr. Oliphant, please go ahead.
So I can get this hand down.
You did.
My first question would be, what constitutes a quorum, and how do you develop a quorum? I was looking at this particular meeting, and one of the things that always have irritated me is to be involved in something and you are stifled because 2 or 3 people or 4 people don't show up, and you've got single-minded, single-hearted, hard-working people putting all of their efforts in, and they're stopped because of a quorum. So what constitutes a quorum for this committee?
For this committee, we have 9 members. Let me make sure that's right. Yes. So a quorum, we would have to have 5 people on the call to allow us to vote. When you don't have the minimum amount, which is 5 for us, voting members, you just can't make decisions because I think the idea behind that is that the majority are not making the decisions. It's only a few people, and they're trying to prevent that from happening. So all of the commission meetings have to have quorum. Any commission or committee.
Roadblock to progress.
I hear you.
Be a way to bust it down.
I don't know. I think that is pretty much set in how it has to be, because you don't want to make a decision for the body when the majority of the people aren't here. I hear what you're saying, and I agree to your point that it does stop progress. You're absolutely correct. But
And
I
at
don't
a
know that
certain
there's
point in time, you have to say, okay, this particular thing is not working, and fix it.
I hear you.
And if that means wiping out the entire body to get it fixed, wipe them out, because progress will continue to move. Water will find its way.
Yeah. That's a
Now,
valid point. I
that was just
appreciate
one
that.
issue.
Okay.
So if the quorum cannot be organized and structured after 2 or 3 consecutive meetings, it has to go, because you're stopping progress on the movement of your goals and objectives. Reflecting back on some of the things that were discussed today, it was an awesome meeting. I thank you for allowing me to participate. Equity and inclusion was the key cornerstones of our actions for the Advanced Monument discussions. There was a good cross-section of people from all of the community involved. And there were more than several thousand comments that were put out, documented. There was one petition that went almost to 9,000 by itself on removal. So removal wasn't just a afterthought. It was a painful discussion and process to get that far. Switching to another subject, community involvement. It's an absolute must. Otherwise, people will say that fateful few made the decision. I had nothing to do with it. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know who came up with that discussion, but you've got to have community involvement. And if that involves nightly meetings, that involve meetings without Zoom, if that involves meetings without Google Meet, we have to find a way to do it, because you've got to reach those people that are not automation literate. You've got to reach those people that are generationally disconnected. You've got to reach all generations and keep them involved in the process. That's absolutely critical for people to have ownership into what was decided and move on. If you want the city to be involved, they've got to have involvement, and they've got to know what's going on. So there might be an effort put forth to spread the word a little better on what is being discussed. Maybe there's a corner in the paper that can be used to just reflect on this week. This is what we talked about, and ask, are there things that you want us to talk about or process? Because there are too many people sitting back wondering what happened rather than being a part of what happened.
Mr. Oliphant, thank you.
Ownership and action
Okay.
and requirements. You've got to keep the community involved at all levels. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you so much for your wisdom. I agree, you're right. And there are things that we can do that we can improve in those areas. We have talked about moving the time of our meetings to allow for more people to be able to engage and have access to us. That's still on the table as far as finding the right time that all this can work and come together. And we have to be able to be accessible to our community. You make some very valid points about the generational disconnect. We want to be able to work on that and be better at that. And as far as quorum, you know, there are policies and procedures that we have to have in place for order. So we have to be, it goes back to being inclusive. But if people aren't able to be here, we have to come up, have different conversations. And maybe that time could solve a lot of that. Let's move into a different time slot.
But you cannot allow the absence of a quorum to stop progress.
Yeah, but I feel my hands are tied in that regard, because one of our rules state we have to have
help make some
quorum.
noise, we'll find a way to get rid of the quorum.
Okay. Any other comments? Mr. McAfee, please unmute.
I don't know that we need to get rid of the quorum. We need to find people that are committed and dedicated and being present when they're supposed to be. And if the people on the board now cannot fulfill that role, I recommend one of them get out of the way. For me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I think that's probably more or less what the issue is. And I don't know what the procedure would be for that, but you must have active members. Otherwise, you cannot, do what you need to do. And I don't think you can sort of avoid a quorum. I think everything I don't think you can avoid that. But yeah, but I think that's more or less the key is just getting people that's willing to put in the time. And, and if they can't, like I said, I think that's it. Yeah.
I can accept the part about keeping the quorum. I can't accept the part about action stopping because people are not present.
Understood. And I appreciate your thought and your comments. I appreciate Brandon.
I was going to say in regards to the keeping the community involved comment that there is a community engagement academy meeting tonight from 6:30 to 8. I have not attended one. I cannot speak on what it is, but I do understand that it is for us and it starts the roots of building community. So okay. I can send that out through the email if everyone would like, but that's supposed to be going on and it's a reoccurring event. It was February, it's March, May, and another May. All of them will be recorded and it's through the city of Asheville and it's Champion Community. Do you know any about that?
Is that the one, Brandon? Is that the one that they're doing with the healing process of preparing us for the stages of working with the reparations? I think
so. It's by Shamika Ebony.
Yes. And what it's actually doing is it's set up, and what they're doing is it's going to be basically on storytelling where people come together, because what we're doing is preparing the stage for actually identifying the people that will be on the reparation commission. And basically they've set it up in 3 different phases. And what happens, the first phase is what we're in now, where we're connecting with the community so people can come out, tell their stories and what they think of what, different things to sort of bring us together. And then from there, I'm not sure, I don't have all the little plans, steps in front of me, but this is the first step of preparing for the reparations resolution or getting that in place.
Thank you. Brandon, do you mind sending that out to everybody?
No, ma'am. I will do it right now.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
I was just telling Councilwoman Kilgore, thank you for going into depth about that.
So we don't need to have to vote to adjourn, but I just want to thank everyone for your attendance, for your comments, for your passion, for your care and concern, for being here. I love a good discussion. We don't always have to agree, but we always have to be mindful and hear others when they're speaking and respect their opinions. But hopefully we'll be moving forward. I'll be reaching out to you, Mr. McAfee. I have your email address, and I'm going to dig that out and contact you so that going forward, I'll be making sure that you know what we're doing on our commission and you're staying connected. That is something that I can do to help. And then when we have an opening on the county side or on the city side, I'll be sure to reach back out to you to let you know. And if you'll just send your application to me, I can get it to the proper clerks and see, just to make sure that we at least get our eyes on your application. Okay? And thank you for being here and just being a part of our commission and coming to our meetings. You've been doing this for a while, so it's good to see your face here today. And Mr. Oliphant, thank you for your work that you've done on the task force and for being here today. And to Councilmember Kilgore and Richard, thank you so much for your attendance. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. So if no further comments or questions, we'll dismiss.
Y'all a good looking group, and remember, COVID is real. It is not playing. Encourage people to get their vaccinations.
Yes, be safe, people. Thank you so much, everyone. All right, bye.
Thank y'all. See y'all, gentlemen. Thank you.